Hey y'all, Jamie here, proud 54-year-old trans woman from New Orleans. Yesterday I left off with a tough one. I knew a young girl, she was 16. We were both turning tricks on a street called South Main in Houston, Texas. It was only cis girls worked out there. I was like the only trans girl out there at all, the only one. And there was a serial killer on the loose, and sadly, he got this young girl. And they discovered her body in the hotel room beneath me, stuffed in a suitcase under the sink. It was very tough. And needless to say, I was very scared after that. I think that the partying with crack started to get way out of hand for me and Damon. Like, we started like making money to specifically get it, instead of just getting it when we had the money extra. I even learned how to make it. Not proud of that one, but yes, I was cooking up rocks. And Damon and I met another couple at the hotel. The girl was a hooker, like me, and her old man was her pimp. And they started talking to us and making friends with us. And then we all got high, and somebody suggested that we have a four-way and swap partners. Yeah, swing. They wanted us to swing with them. And so we were high, and we did. We did. And I have to tell you that watching us, at the time I was pre-op, okay? I'm not anymore, but I was pre-op at that time. And watching a cis girl who had everything anatomically that I really needed to have myself, watching her pleasure my boyfriend triggered something really deep in me. Really, truly triggered something deep in me. And that was just a horrible, horrible experience. And I learned that we couldn't do that. We just couldn't do that. And the crack had to stop. I was like, no, kind of like when I was shooting up in New Orleans, it was time for the crack to stop too. It was not cute. Crack, like Whitney said once upon a time, crack is whack. So, yeah, I started working on South Main again and doing my thing, turning dates and getting along as best I could, and sometimes Damon would stand out there and like hang back with the other pimps. Like, he thought he was like, he didn't really think he was the pimp, but his chest would puff up when he was around those other guys, and it used to really piss me off. So one evening comes around, and Damon says, look, there's a car cruising you. And I said, okay, and I know how to pull a date when I see one. I'll handle it. And he was like, I'm just trying to help. And I said, yeah, well, I have a bad feeling about that one, okay? And he said, well, then fine, don't make the money. And obviously we were jonesing because, we had been getting high, and it was just, anyway, that was at the end of the whole crack ordeal. And in fact, this incident ended the whole crack ordeal. I went ahead and got in that car. Against better judgment, I got in that car, listening to him. And I had learned a trick for some other girls out there on South Main, that when you got in a car with a guy, make sure that you get your lipstick between his legs and his underwear without him noticing. That way, in case it's a cop, when they get you to the police station, you say, excuse me, he assaulted me, check his underwear. Okay? So I get in the car with this guy, and I immediately, he starts trying to grab me between the legs. And like I said, I was pre-op, and it was South Main. Nobody knew. So I was like, and I was letting him because I was tucked really well. And I reached over and started saying, "Oh, honey," and I put lipstick on my fingers. I rubbed my mouth and I put lipstick on my fingers. And I said, "Oh, let me see your cock." And I pulled it out and I made sure I got lipstick on his underwear. Then I said, "Let's go back to my room." And he was like, "Okay." So we got back over to the Roadrunner Hotel on South Main, and we pulled into the front parking lot by the office, and he pulls up and stops and says, "By the way, you're under arrest." And I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "You're not a fucking cop." And I opened the door to jump out, and he grabbed the back of my sweater. And I said, "No, no." I thought he was trying to kidnap me or attack me or something. He didn't show me a badge, you know. And so I fought with him and rolled with him, and I got him off me, and I ran into the office of the hotel, and I was screaming, "Help, this man's assaulting me. He's trying to attack me." And then he walked into the office out of his car with his badge out and his gun aimed at me and said, "Like I said, I'm a fucking cop. You're under arrest." And if you want to know what happens next, y'all be here tomorrow, and I will too. I love you all for watching. I love you for all the comments, and please keep coming back. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.